We're back with part 2 of the Melbourne Punter Show Easter Egg Extravaganza. We're here at Moonee Valley before the William Reid meeting. And boys, we've been trying valiantly to win a ticket into the big tournament. We've been playing each week, but we haven't had a terrible amount of luck over the last couple of weeks, and we're all walling a little bit by it. But
I feel a bit like Greg Chappell. Juppy, remember that year when he just kept going in and getting a duck and got about 5 in a row? That's about where we're at.
We're batting well, but not making any runs. So, there's still some opportunities. There's a big tournament this weekend, and then we're into the 2-day format, which will be very interesting when we get to the 250,000, because it runs over 2 days of the championships.
Does it?
Yeah. So if you're
on
leading,
Sydney only, is it? Or
that I need to check. I think so, but we'll need to have a look at that. But there's heaps of opportunities to win your way in. There's another tournament this Saturday, and there's heaps of little tournaments for next to nothing that you can get into that you can win your way through.
Last time I talked to Jake, the big one was going to be on Sydney and Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
But they may not have made a final decision.
Well, hopefully they do make it Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah.
I think you probably need 2 meetings, don't you?
Well, we need something to give us a chance.
we need divine intervention. We need our old mate who's going to be put up on the cross on tomorrow to come back.
We got out of the gates good last week, and then the whole thing went haywire, and it sort of we went off balance there.
We went haywire with it.
And then a sign.
Yeah.
That was the end of us, really.
Anyway,
now, DK, you've had an interesting week. You had a visitor.
I did, mate. I did. I was 2 weeks ago. It was Andrew Twaits, who's the RVL head of media and wagering, director head of media and wagering, came over to my house for an hour or two.
He's a good man, because he used to be at Betfair, and he was a guest on the Punter Show when he
was he really?
Back in the day,
he's a lovely guy, and so he sat down with me, and I sort of wanted to show him. He wanted to have a look at what I do. The review's coming up, their annual review, and he wanted to have a look at my stuff and hear from me and then have it fresh in his mind going into the review, which is happening through April and May, I think.
Okay.
He was interested in it. The first thing I showed him was the database, the ratings to win database use. Showed him my videos, which are different to the ones that are on the websites. They're downloaded and a lot quicker. So I showed him. I said, mate. He said, why don't you use the racing.com ones? I said, they're so slow. And he said, I'll show me. So I clicked on it, and when you had the Crown Bet ad, the racing.com ad, and then the footage come up, it's like a 10-15 second wait.
Yeah.
And I said, well, just for interest, we had a look at the New South Wales Racing New South Wales videos, and they just come up in a split second.
Yeah.
Let alone Hong Kong, which I'll get to later.
Does that include jump outs your setup? Because I've never.
I've got to go to it's trials though. It's all trials and all trials, and it's Australia wide.
We'll get to those trials later on too.
Yeah, well, that's right, we will. I wanted to show him how the corporate bookie algorithms work, and it was good because a couple of days earlier I'd got a horse completely wrong. The horse was about $13 or $14, and I backed it. I improved the horse and I backed it. I had about $80 on it across 4 or 5 bookies. That's all I could get on it, Yeah. And then they wound it into $8 or $9, and the algorithm got hold of it, and it made it $4. Over the next hour or two, the horse came into $4, and then when the real betting started, and the market said you're completely wrong, it was just expressed back to $15. So I showed him that, and I showed him that their capacity to be able to cope with, a minimum bet is in those algorithms as well. And also I showed him even on dynamic odds you can hover over the prices of all the bookies. So even the non-betters like William Hill and Ladbrokes, they'd turn that horse off. Yeah. Their algorithm, or someone's turned the horse off wouldn't have even written its name.
So this is the point. This is the point of this part of the show. That situation is occurring because the policymakers have handed over control of the markets to the corporates, and they just do whatever they like. Yeah. And they put up those prices early, and they have those algorithms that trigger at the drop of a hat. I mean, I went and have 100 each way on a 40 or 50 to 1 shot yesterday, and the place I did it through put the first bet on it. They started with the 50 to 1 shot, had $10 on it, and that triggered their algorithms before they knew it was into $31. Yeah. Like, it was a $10 bet. So anyway,
So
that might be good for the corporates. I don't know if it is, because half the time the price goes off without them laying it, and
Yeah.
the horses end up starting longer anyway. So I'm saying they might be good for the corporates, but what about the punters? It's no good for the punters. Let's have some minimum bet rules and make those people bet. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
That's
Dan.
right, yes.
Yeah.
Good, thanks, Potts. And then the next thing I showed him was on Wangaratta Cup Day, which was unfortunately called off halfway through the day. So I got the El Dorado race, what's called the El Dorado, the 3-year-old race there. And they had a power failure on course, which used to happen all the time when I used to work for bookies. A cup day on a hot day, just guarantee the power going off. So the horses never even got saddled up. Never got saddled up, right? So they didn't get anywhere near the mounting yard, and they put the race back 20 minutes. But someone forgot to tell Jelko's robots and Dr. Nick's robots on Betfair, and as coming up to the first jump time, 65,000 got batched on Betfair. So beauty. So that's good. So then they put the race back to 20 minutes, so they updated obviously someone got in the office there at Jelko's, Dr. Nick's, 20 minutes later. Horses still never got saddled up because they were called off. Yep. Another 35,000 got matched at the new bet time, so $95,000 got matched on Betfair on a race.
There was millions to go ahead.
The horses didn't even get saddled up. So
they should have left it go for about 3 days. They could have had a record turnover.
So I show you, he was quite interested in that as well. That was good. But he did ask me, then he said to me, what improvements, what's good? He was under no disillusion at all that the racing.com form and that on the website is not up to scratch.
Yep.
I said, obviously, sectional times.
Yep.
I mean, get them off, so tender it out. There's a couple of, get them off Vince for every race meeting.
Yep.
Just the field sectionals or something. They should be on the website.
Yep.
Get them. The stewards footage.
Yep.
The stewards footage. So I said, have a look at Hong Kong here. So we got Hong Kong Jockey Club website up. And on it, what they've got called, what's the multi-angle replay.
Yeah.
They've got 3 angles you can click on, and the voiceovers to go with it. So you can watch the race, you can watch the leader, or you can watch the stewards footage with the guys talking through it as well, and then it changes back to the commentary on the race. If you click back, it's just sensational. So he was quite interested in that. The website wasn't up to scratch. So then he said, what's this? I see you banging on about these untrialled first starters and things like that. I said, come and have a look at this Cranbourne Turf Club local jump out footage. So it got the page up, and it had about 20 videos on there. And then I said, there it is, that's it. No horses, no names, no colours, nothing else. There it is. And then I showed him an email you get from a horse trainer. People send me from Cranbourne, and they say, it's here's the jump out, and it's a thing in there, and the yellow colours, and it's jumped out well, and all this sort of stuff. So, anyway, but don't get me started on
so that sort of thing might suit the connections and the trainers and whoever else. But what about the punters? It's no good for bloody punters if there's horses in the race that there's no footage of. So yesterday at Sandown, there's a maiden. There's a Mick Kent runner. Paid a lot of money for it. Well bred. It's hard in the market from the word go. I would have liked to back the Weir runner. I ended up having something on it, but it was tiny. It was I had about a quarter of the bet that I could have had. Okay, so until you fix this up, we're going to keep coming on this show and saying, what about the punters? Because I come from Sydney, right? So maybe I've been spoiled. Maybe I've lived in. It feels like a trip to the dark ages here. In Sydney, every horse that goes to the track has to have a public trial. It doesn't seem that hard.
No. Well, I explained that Saturday I did my money because untrialled first starter beat me, so I'm out for dinner with my wife, who she has worked at the races, but she's not a racing person. She doesn't know the intricacies of it. And she said, how'd you go today? I said, I lost. Why'd you lose? I said, an untrialled first starter beat me. What are you talking about? I said, a horse who I don't know anything about has got out of the ground and beat me on the line. But I said, next door in New South Wales and in Hong Kong and Singapore and all these other joints, everything trials, and in Victoria they don't. She's shaking. She said, so you're betting blind to some degree? I said, yeah, beauty.
Well, Miss Vista's another example, isn't it? Apparently set the track on fire in a jump out at Kyneton. No footage of that, and then they've said, but the owners have managed to take 21 and 15.
Oh, please! But
it was for probably 100 and for another 50, 70 at the most. Because I had a bit of a Twitter debate with Matty Jackson, who's a caller for RSN. He's up around the border there. He said the owners deserve first crack. Well, the thing is, if we had the vision, they might have marked it a little bit shorter, but they're going to get on for infinitely more than what they have. Like they've got on to win 3. They've got on to win a lot more than that, and if they waited, they would have got on for a lot more than that.
Yeah, the message to Racing Victoria is not having this footage available is stifling turnover. We've got to stop having policies in Victoria that are stifling turnover. No minimum bet rule stifles turnover. No good for punters. No. What about the punters? No jump out footage at Cranbourne and other centres. Stifles turnover. No good for punters. What about the punters? Let's fix these things up. It'll increase turnover and everyone will get involved.
And it's little things too. It's not as if we're asking for the world.
So, yeah, on the just to wrap up what I did with Andrew.
Right, so
of course,
before we go from that,
Yeah.
Dan's got and there's another guy that's a professional that puts stuff out to subscribers also. He sees a race later, he just completely brushes it.
brushes it. He says,
You know what I mean? So
if he
that's
sees
not-
a race with an untrialled first starter from a good camp, he just brushes the race completely.
Yeah.
And he's sending his stuff out to a lot
Yeah.
of people, so they're not betting either. He's not
Yeah.
betting, they're not betting.
I left it off my set yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I did the race,
Yep.
but I made a big comment about that this Mick Kent first starter's
Yeah.
in here and it's dangerous, so we can't bet in the race. So I mean, it's not just me and him; it's all the subscribers that follow that information, everything else, and then they go into the pool. It creates a market. It all, you get a bit
Well,
of vibrancy to it.
well,
Like
that's
this
what
idea that it
Yeah.
protects it for the owners and
No.
the connections of the horse. They've got it. There's got to be a market for them to bet into, and at the moment, there's no market for them to bet into. They're not. I mean,
No.
surely they're getting peanuts out of
It's
it.
a draconian argument.
And in Sydney, a lot of horses went out of the market that have trialled. It's not
Oh, yeah.
like, you know what I mean? They can trial really well and still win at
Trials
$10.
are trial races.
Well, this is
Yeah.
what I said to Matt Jackson. I said,
Oh, sorry. I'll give you a great example. Press Statement trialled pretty well before its first started. It had 2 or 3 trials. I backed it at Canterbury at $21 against a bunch of fucking scrubbers that'll probably never won a race. Press Statement. It
Over-
went around at $21 on debut at Canterbury.
Got beat?
No, won.
I won. Oh, yeah,
Well-
well, there you go.
as I said to,
Yeah.
as I
So
said
you got to see it.
Yeah.
as I said
Make
to
your
Matt
own mind
Jackson,
up.
you don't have to do anything in the trial. No,
Well,
it's-
do what Clint McDonald did on Love Days. Got beaten 20 links in 3 trials.
Yeah.
So what, comes out and wins its first up by 8.
no one's the trials.
Just,
You
if you're
don't
good
have
enough to do
try.
that, good.
Yeah.
Roberts, they're trialling heavy shoes, heavy saddles. Put a jumps jockey on it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let us lay our eyes on them, please.
Exactly. And that's the boss was given a really quiet jump out. It was a good jump out, but it was quiet. You had to look hard to find it.
That's that camp.
Yeah.
That's the you know.
But that's
you know
all.
the
It's,
camp.
but it's taught when I did money back in laying things off their jump out because they look like they jumped out terribly.
but- Yeah.
But so every camp's got their ways how they treat their jump outs, and at least we can lay our eyes on them, and help have a bet. I was confident to back, and that's the boss because I'd seen its jump out.
Yeah.
You know.
So very grateful to Andrew Twaits for engaging with us and
just-
talking to us. That's
That was great. And just the last thing, I didn't want to harp on too much about the minimum bet thing. He knows my stance on
Yeah.
it. He knows the show's stance on it. Look, it's everything's on the table. He asked me a couple of questions about a timing issue. Because on-course bookies have got to bet 20 minutes before the race.
Yeah.
He said he was sort of saying, would a 30-minute before the race be acceptable? And I said, no, I think New South Wales got the right
Yeah, it's
9
morning
a.m.
of.
race day, because a lot of the guys who want to bet on the metros, when the markets go up on a Wednesday, they can't bet till Saturday morning anyway.
Yeah.
And they're quite frustrated by that. So they've seen what's gone on in New South Wales. Everything's on the table for the review, and we just keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll keep campaigning, and hopefully something will come of it down the track.
So what do we need to keep in Andrew's mind as he goes into the review pots?
what about the punters? Just think about the punters, Andrew, and Racing Victoria, because we can't afford to lose any. We need to get them all in and betting.
My word, we do. Scratchings after scratching time due to an upgrade from a good 4 to a good 3.
This is your pots. This is your.
I mean, honestly,
Buckler was a bad one.
exactly.
And then
Scratching time 7:30.
Yeah.
Why are we giving people another opportunity to scratch after that? I mean, make the scratching time 11 o'clock if you want to, but once they've had their chance to scratch,
You can't.
that should be the end of it. Like, I can understand if it starts at a good 3,
and finishes.
you
at
have
heavy.
3 inches of rain and it's
Yeah.
heavy 10, right? Maybe that's everyone can understand that.
Oaks Day last year.
But it was last week. It was He's a Ripper. It was a good 4 to a good 3. The scratching was like, it was in the afternoon. It was like 1 o'clock or
Yeah.
something. Like, it's just
for a good 4 to good 3, wasn't it? Good scratch.
yeah, good 4 to a good 3.
Just unfair.
Scratch. So we back good
How the
offer,
stewards.
and we get a 28-cent deduction or something. I mean,
What about the complete race shape though? The one with
the
Buckler.
Buckler's a disaster.
It was complete race shape. Just went out the window.
Buckler's coming from a solidly run 1200, stepping up to 1400. It needs a solidly run race, otherwise it's got no chance. And 5 horses, I think, got scratched from
Yeah.
that race after scratching time, and it was a 3 to a 2 on a 30-odd degree day. And they didn't happen all at 8:30 or something. They happened at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock. They actually, a lot of the horses in the quaddy legs were scratched after the quaddy started.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, what about the punters?
Punters,
I mean, honestly,
please.
people that take quaddies must have been,
This is where the stewards need to stand up and just tell the trainers no.
yeah.
Just-
Might not be very good for the trainers. Very good for the trainers. It's all nice for them. But what about the punters?
That's it.
But the stewards have got to be strong enough to just say, right, no, it's only gone from a 3 to a 2. It's not gone from a 2 to a 7. You run it.
So we're just asking, please, that scratching time becomes scratching time again. You know, and you can't scratch unless there's a bloody really good reason for it.
Yeah.
Now, as we mentioned in part 1, last Monday we had a bit of a team meeting because I left the battery at home.
Yeah, no, look, we had a good. I haven't brought all the results, but we won about 60 odd units last week. The DK and pot stuff, we hit the mark pretty regularly. So we've over the 6 weeks we've done it, we've turned over 430 units, I think, for a turn of about 530. So we're 100 units in front, which is a good result for all of our subscribers. I thank all those that stuck solid with us, particularly after we had a bad week the week before. So we had a good team meeting about that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and I just thought myself, well, there's no one cheering these things on more than me and Potts, you know, just for home, but just the pride and responsibility of tipping. That's something new to me. Tipping and the, you know, tipping horses is, and then keep doing your own little thing at home one is one thing, and tipping horses and putting it out there and the pressure associated with that was another thing. And I said to Potts last Monday, I felt like I was the kid on the footy ground who was just trying so hard and running to every contest and then missing the ball and the ball would go to the next contest rather than waiting for the, you know, trying to read the play and wait for the ball to come with me. So we had the great chat last Monday, Potts, and we sort of took a little bit of a different tact in.
We're just a lot more patient.
A lot more patient, a bit
and
more
if we found reasons not to send a horse out in the tips, we left them out.
Yeah.
And a lot of them got beat.
Yeah.
So the result would have been probably 15 or 20 units worse last week had we not had that discussion. So.
Yeah, but hopefully I think we're up. Yeah, hope we can keep this up. It was good to fire up last week, and I think we won every day and some good price winners, and you saw them really well, Potts, and hopefully we had a little bit hit a little hurdle at Terang today, which well, that happens. But plenty of meetings over the next once we get through the weekends. So.
Yeah, that's sort of the week ahead. We've got Moonee Valley tonight. We've got a rare day off tomorrow. But then we've got Easter Cup Day at Caulfield Saturday, as well as
Kerang and Warwick Nabil.
I'm off to Kerang Cup Day and Warwick Nabil Cup Day, as well as Balnarring Picnics. Then Sunday we've got the rescheduled Wangaratta Cup, as well as the Stall Cup meeting.
Cracking meetings there.
And the Stall Cup meeting coincides with the big weekend up there for the Stall Gift, and I've got one for the punters there in the Stall Gift. The young boy from Tasmania, Jack Hale, he was off 2 1/4 last year. He's off 3 1/4 this year. He ran second in the Burnie Gift down there on New Year's Day in Tassie. After he false started, they put him back half a metre behind scratch. So I think he actually had to jump the fence to start the race. He was that far back, and he finished second. He's probably going to wind up at the Rio Olympics. It's 40,000 for him, so it's potentially for an athlete like that, it's a year's wages.
So this is what it's all about. What about the punters? Well, there you go, punters.
There you go. There's one for you, punters. So you can back him and
get on up there too for something, can't you?
Well, yeah, there'll be a few bookies up there, so you can get on for a bit. And then Monday we're out to Sandown, and then Stony Creek on Tuesday.
Just a quick word of my other stuff too. On Australia Cup Newmarket Day, I had a poor day, lost 54 units. So for those guys that sacked me, fair enough, and for those that stuck solid, I'm really pleased that we bounced back really strongly last week, and we got all of those units back plus a few more. So what did we win last week, Juppy? About
I don't know, it was a decent day.
40, 20, 15, 75 last week. So bounced back, and unfortunately, I mean, it's punting, it's tough. If this was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
So people that are going to get involved with my stuff, I'd say think through it, have a plan. If you're going to do it, stick at it for a long enough period of time, and don't get too upset about one bad day. I mean, no one hates them more than me, but they're going to happen. Anyway.
Now, the last time I was at Kerang Potts, I found a little horse of Weary's that won at 40s, and if you're in the chat room, you would have got that one piece of information that I put in there, and not much else. So we'll be in there again on Saturday for the
Caulfield.
For Caulfield and the big meeting in Sydney and whatever other snippets that we can come up with along the way. So there's plenty of good boys in there, and girls probably, but there's a real good bunch in there, and there's plenty of good info. So you do a lot worse than get the Melbourne and Sydney sets, especially if you want to play in the tournaments. You can grab the 2 sets and do your best with them and tune into the chat room. You'll have a good day.
Yep, absolutely. It's good fun in there.
Got a couple of horses to follow, boys.
This is for the punters. What about the punters?
Yeah,
Here it is.
try and give the punter something. We thought we give a couple, try and give them something to watch. So I thought I'll give a most impressive maiden winner and then hopefully a coming maiden winner. So the coming maiden winner, that's I think a horse called Punt Club. He's a really smart horse. He's by Equiano. I think he's probably one of the better. I think he could be the best Equiano going round. He's in at Wang on Sunday. The only problem with this horse is he'll be well found, and the camp don't train many winners. So he was in at Cranbourne 2 Friday nights ago, and he was heavily backed from $2.20 to $1.60. And Potts and I had a conversation about him before the race because he just stood out. And I said, I don't really want to be ploughing into $2.20 this camp, Potts. It's just
beaten by first starter. They had a jump out that we could see.
Yeah.
They gave it a quiet go in the trial.
Wasn't wrong. The horse ran really well, but the first starter beat him, and they ran really well.
So I think that was $18 into single figures, and then back out and started like $14
I've got to
something.
get it. Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. Those connections would have got more out of that.
Yeah,
because it was seen.
So I don't know what price he'll be Sunday, but if he is short odds, he will go up in class. He'll win more races, so there'll be other days for him, and maybe when he's good odds. But keep an eye on him on Sunday; it'll be hard to beat. And I thought the horse we sent out in the tips and had a good result on last week, who won. That's the Boss, who was ridden sensationally by BL, and he's pulled out big sectionals there at Pakenham last week. He should have beaten Flying Light on debut at Benalla. Very unlucky. He's a horse with real talent, and he's going to go forward and go through his grades. So stick with him. That's the Boss. 2 for me, Potts.
Very nice horse. I was going to ask you about one maiden, DK, because it's an interesting one. I don't know what to do with this horse. Unfortunately for me and my subscribers, we've found this horse twice at very good odds, and he's been a certainty beat both times. But I'm not sure what Chris Waller's going to do with him. And the horse is Prescience. What do you think about him now?
Well, I mean, we was here last. We were here a week
on the Monday.
And
tragic.
They went back for the all-important cover.
Which is that's the camp. That's probably it. And he's. No,
that wasn't a maiden. I mean, he's a maiden.
He's a maiden.
That was a 64.
So it shows the opinion. They've obviously got a nice opinion of him. And he was Sandown. He handed up a good spot in the rug end, ridden quiet for cover, and probably should have won there. So no, he's a nice Waller. He'll have improvement in him. That's the way they train Waller and Weir.
I'd prefer to back him in a 64 with a big field with a bit of tempo than
if he went back for a kill.
In a maiden, it's going to be $1.80 and cluttered up and low draw or something. Yeah. And he's not going to send him to the front, is it?
In a race half full of camels.
It just doesn't seem like a horse that fits into a maiden. Because he's a 4-year-old, because he's a UK import.
It's strange for him to go back to a maiden now. In these midweek, you saw those midweeks yesterday falling right away. There's country horses, it's not putting steep or anything, but he was 50s out of. He did have a good win at Bendigo. The thing called Rain Fast was ran at Eden. The first winner ran at Eden Hope. So I mean, there's not that gap if you can find the right race for him. But I don't think he can go back to a maiden. You want to be backing him up in class, but he's going forward for sure.
And the other horse I was going to mention, I was just going to try and find one for this segment each week. That looks to me like it's got the ability to go through its classes. So it's won a recent race and can, if not a picket fence, can certainly make its way through the grades at picking up a few races along the way. And that horse is Liberty Justice. That's right, isn't it? Lucky Justice.
Matt Laurie?
Yeah. Lucky Justice. The one that won the last race at Cranbourne 2 Fridays ago. It really wasn't. It wasn't tuned right up.
Was it the horse that ran against Tarzino?
Yeah, it did, And, Player Bro and all that.
Then the big Ballarat maiden, form speed enormous out of it. Oh, that horse. I laid it on him the next start. I said, I want to back everything out of that race. Play Up Bro won for me. Red Aldo went to a race in town, so I didn't back him. But then he turned up in a 1,500 metre maiden at Mornington. So I just thought, just low miles, just had absolute maximum on it. And this thing out of a highweight maiden, he's not a bad horse, hard charger, got S. Arnold on it. And raced it for the last 600 metres neck and neck. They nearly had a coronary, and then Lucky Justice just pulled out enough to win. It was nearly enemy laying it on. But
I'm pretty sure that was the run it went out on.
Yep.
It's come back and trialled nicely, and it went really well at Cranbourne. I think it can pick up 2 or 3 more races.
Good trainer, that bloke.
Oh yeah.
What about Wrongdoor Reggie?
Yeah.
A big win on Sunday, and he's got he's got a heap of nice horses.
Well, a mate of ours spotted him early doors and sent the travelling man down to him, and he's done a real good job with him. They've had plenty of fun with him.
Refs, yeah, he's got about, he had Staviva,
Yeah.
great fun with it, and he's just a nice, good bloke, good trainer, honest,
Good strike rate.
yeah, and he's patient. I like backing his horses. In mornings he's got a fantastic strike rate on his home track.
And in other news, boys, the footy's here.
Gonna be big tonight.
The footy's back.
We could be the only 3 people at Mooney Valley tonight.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Just us.
it may not get much busier than this year, although, I mean, that's another thing they could have done, though. Like, I think we were talking about, I can't remember who I was talking to about it, I might have mentioned to you blokes too, like, Mooney Valley could have done a bit of a promotion, so come, if you want to watch the footy, come out and watch the footy.
That's
We'll have
a
it on.
sensational big screen out there, isn't it? It's magnificent.
And even the screens, like, I'm working down in the marketplace, they had the NRL on there last Friday night, the footy beyond down there, and why not put free beer till the first goal scored or something, just something to get them in.
Yeah. Grand final pub.
Yeah, and who knows, you might get a result where they kick a goal after 40 seconds and the punters go home dry. But
Well, I'm looking forward to tonight. Should be a good night's racing. We'll be able to watch a bit of footy, and thank God Sabug was scratched. Otherwise,
What about
I
his
could have been all over for me. If he'd had a 1 here tonight,
yeah, that would have been.
I could have got arrested, I reckon.
Then we would have seen some over the fence work.
What about his bloody stablemate, Maha Squib? What
Oh,
about it?
He
Turning
just
it up.
wouldn't go
Oh.
past yesterday. Fair
Anyway.
income.
Anyway, punters, if you are going away for the weekend, please drive safely,
Safely,
and
yeah.
from all of us here, have a happy and safe Easter. I've changed jobs lately, so it's a little bit different. So we'll just be doing the show sort of when we have time in a minute. But keep your eyes out, and I'll be tweeting it out. You can follow me at the picnics. He's at WinBet Dan. So follow us on Twitter. Make sure you jump on DK and Pod Sets
yeah.
and grab
Pods.
the Pods sets and get into the chat room, and it should be great. And there's plenty of other products there. They're trialling a new product that hopefully will be released soon, an Adelaide product. So hopefully that'll be hitting the market soon, and there's something there for everyone. So have a happy and safe Easter, everyone, and we'll speak to you shortly.
I'm going to eat my Easter egg now, Jumpy. Thank you, mate.
That's all right, mate.